Slides and we are gonna get started. Do you guys see my shirt? You see my Hubby Hacker shirt? Yeah, I've got a lot of swag coming. I got Hey Wifey hats and Hubby Hacker hats and the whole nine. My name is Delise, and this is my story. I was raised by a single mother who is creative, independent, and resourceful in taking care of her children without a husband in the home. My mom's main focus for me was that I not follow in her path of being a single mom and really learn the qualities and gather the tools to do better and live my life in a way that involved a lot less pain and much more peace and joy. What doesn't get solved in one generation passes on to the next generation. And my mother knew that. And she put that really good pressure on me to be the generation that solves the issue of the single parent, single mom household. The problem that I had was that all I had was that knowledge that I'm the first generation to fix this. And I was told that before the person even manifested. I was told this when I was about 4 or 5 years old. And the problem was that there's this secret sauce that we did not have, nor did we have the recipe to once my husband and I got married. And so you can imagine what that has been like. And I'm sure you all can relate. It's my little top secret stamp in the bottom corner there, looking for the secrets to a peaceful marriage, right? All right, next slide. This is the night my husband and I started dating. This is in 1997. We met in 1996, and this is the night he asked me to be his girlfriend. And he actually hacked me because he asked me in a very tricky way. I won't get into that story tonight because I only want to take up 30 minutes if that's possible. I'm going to talk really fast. So there's still some top secret here. We're together, we're in love, but we don't have the secret to make this go smoothly. And so we're doing everything wrong. Broken hearts. We're trying to mend our hearts on our own. We're trying to figure out how not to carry this pain of the generation before us into our generation, into the generation that we are going to create. But again, there's the secret sauce that we don't have. There's so much information out there that we know is out there. And so far, what we've been applying, it just has us walking around broken. And this is my image of us trying to mend our own hearts as we try to figure out how to make life easier through marriage. Because if your marriage is complicated, your life is complicated, and probably vice versa. And this is the voice I have in my head. You have to be and do better, Delise. You are the next level. You have to figure it out. And I'm like, yes, okay, mommy, piece of cake. Piece of cake. And here's my piece of cake, right? Um, this has got to be easy. I believe that it's got to be easy. I believe that what I've seen in the chaos in marriages and relationships and the divorce rate in our country, the divorce rate in the West, and especially the divorce rate in our culture, I believe that it is a piece of cake, and people just haven't figured out what the secrets are. It wasn't a piece of cake. It was not a piece of cake. I didn't get my cake. I was getting broken heart over and over again. There were some ups and there were some downs, but I got really tired of the ups and downs. I got tired of feeling emotionally insecure when I was on the up as to when is this next down going to be and how bad is it going to be. So, not a piece of cake. I was in marriage hell, as I'm sure some of you can relate. If you can relate, type I can relate in the chat. um and here's the flames. And you see the flames are actually burning my piece of cake there. That whole idea I had of this is going to be easy was extinguished or burned, I should say. But there's hope. So my external desire was to have marriage heaven, to be in this marriage heaven, this fairy tale, what I thought was a fairy tale when I started dealing with reality. And I was like, I still believe the cake is out there. And you know what? Squash the piece. I want the whole cake. And I'm so tired of being told that I want my cake and I want to eat it too. Of course, I want to eat it too. What else is the purpose of cake, right? My internal desires was emotional safety. And your internal desires might be a little different based on the trauma that you experienced as a child. For me, my trauma was not knowing what was coming from the people close to me. Are they going to panic? Are they going to freak out if I come to them with something and I just want to talk? Are they going to start yelling, screaming? Will there be things thrown? Will there be name calling? So in my marriage, I wanted to fulfill that which I felt I was lacking in my childhood, which was emotional safety. I wanted to succeed at marriage. So that was my internal desire. Um, my internal struggles were because I was raised by a strong, independent woman. I was very independent, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but we'll get into that. So I was independent. I was suspicious of being hurt. I had a don't control me attitude. I had a I don't need you attitude. I had an I can do bad all by myself attitude. And this is my favorite one. I was waiting to exhale. Those are my internal struggles. My external struggles were that I wanted to be codependent because I realized that that's what it took to be a functional partner in a marriage, to be a good wife. But I had so much independent programming that that was constantly a obstacle that we were hitting in our relationship. Um, as opposed to being suspicious of being hurt, the other side of that is being faithful in God and not in man. That was an external thing that I needed to achieve, was to be faithful in God and stop putting all of my faith in my husband's not going to hurt me. He is not going to disappoint me and yell again after I said I can't handle this anymore, because I'm putting all my faith in him instead of in God to support this lack that I had as a child with emotional safety. So third external struggle is I'm grateful for a man in control, not controlling. So this is a big issue with women like me, women that I am speaking to who are also raised by really strong, independent single mothers, or even mothers who were married and still were just the dominant one in the household. That can create some issues for those women when they become wives as well. Um, I'm not talking about him being controlling. I'm not perceiving everything he's doing as control, but just the fact that he is in control of his life. Because if he was out of control, you wouldn't want that either. So a lot of times we speak out of our mouth with something that manifests something. It's not even really what we want. To say I don't want a controlling man, really what you want to say is I want a man in control. So my internal struggle was don't control me, but my external struggle was I really do want a man who is in control. Um, Internal struggle, I don't need you, to I want you in my life. I can do bad all by myself, to I can do bad with you. And that is the covenant, right? In sickness and in health. So we have this attitude raised by single mothers of I don't need you if this is going to be bad, if this is going to be painful, if this is going to hurt, when that is not the principle. That is not God's covenant. That is not the universal principle. The principle is that you have joined together in this covenant, and regardless if it's an up or a down, we're doing that bad together, because you have to go through the bad together in order to go through the good together. And our programming and our miseducation has been that I could do bad by myself, but then you think you're going to do good with somebody before you've succeeded at doing bad with somebody. And it's really backwards thinking. And then the final one, instead of waiting to exhale, I'm breathing, and I have breathing awareness, and I'm breathing often. Breathing awareness means you're actually in tune with the fact that you're either not breathing or you're breathing. When your husband does something to tick you off, to hurt your feelings, to disappoint you, instead of reacting, you just breathe. And sometimes all you do is breathe. You don't even have a response in that moment. If you're not at the level, if you don't have the Hubby Hacker codes to insert in that moment to handle it in the right way, to get the result you actually want out of your husband. Are you guys with me? I see 4 people in the chat. Okay, now there's 5 people. I want to make sure that you guys are still hearing me, and 5 new messages. I'm stopping just a sec. Yes, I want my cake. Yes, I love it. I want my cake too. All right. Let's think outside of the box. So this was Delise talking to herself like 15, 16, 17 years ago. I've been married coming up on 26 years now. And I'm like, okay, the call is on my life to change this generational curse, if that's what you want to call it, of getting married and then getting divorced, or never getting married at all, never figuring it out. So I got to think outside the box, because I know there's people out there who have figured this out and who are happy. I know that it can't be a fantasy for me to be happy and secure and at peace in my marriage. It has to be real, right? So here's the box. I'm inside the box, and the box is closed, and there's all these things. I try not to get emotional. There's all these things. Yes, admit, Jaden, I need to turn that off. Just let people in. There's all these things inside of the box with me that I can't see. If you can see this box, the things inside the box are really faint. That's on purpose, because the message I'm relaying to you here, mute yourself, Jaden. The message I'm relaying to you here is that inside of the box, it's dark and I can't see all of the things that God has in the box with me. I can't see what's about to manifest in my life and that he's allowing me to go through all of this pain because I'm going to be here tonight talking to you guys and eventually talking to millions of women to help them realize that it can be easy. It does not have to be difficult. So that's me in the box, in the dark, barely seeing the things that God has in store for me once I figure out this hubby hacker code. So inside the box is still closed, so it's dark in there and I can't see. I can feel the call on my life, but I can't clearly see how I'm supposed to do this. And this is the single mother, single woman thinking. Independent, guarded, suspicious of being hurt, the don't control me attitude. I don't need you. I can do battle by myself, waiting to excel, right? We went through all those things already. The old vehicles that I tried to get from this place of being a frustrated, lonely, like hoping I can just have my cake at some point to getting my cake. These were the old vehicles and they were broken. You see a little broken car down in the right-hand corner. Good intentioned spiritual leaders, religious books adding a burden to me because I was still missing something, the wrong mentors, the opinions and thoughts of other bitter women. That's not going to get you anywhere. That's definitely a broken vehicle, right? And counselors that tell me not to deny my husband's needs without addressing deeper issues. That really bothered me. Like, so I'm just here on this earth as a tool for my husband and I need to satisfy his needs. What about my needs? Right? And religious leaders can make that very heavy. And I was very hurt by that because religious leaders will tell you that that's just your purpose, you know, is that you're number two, you were created second, and it's all about your husband. And I don't think that's a good tactic to inspire a woman to become the best that she can be. It's just not helpful. So here's my journey. I've got this broken vehicle from all the things I just mentioned in the last slide, and I'm going on this winding road, but I'm picking up these tools along the way because of what my mother instilled in me at 4. I knew that the tools were out there and that the cake and the destination, the peaceful, happy marriage is on the other side. And so I start to reframe all of those teachings because those religious leaders, those spiritual leaders, those mentors, those marriage counselors, those books, they weren't all bad. But I wasn't in the frame of mind to receive the instructions and the principles from them. And a lot of wives aren't. I can't tell you how many wives almost threw this book back at me that I had read that inspired me to write my book because it was just too harsh. It was too in that mentality of you're the wife, so you're number two. Your husband's number one and you're number two. It just kept reiterating that amongst really good teaching, but that part scarred me and made it really hard for me to accept and be excited about becoming this awesome wife because it was putting me on the back burner. It was making me less important. So that again, it hurt. It wasn't fun. So I start reframing with these tools, and it's going to lead me to where we are, well, we're coming up to at the end of this tonight. So the call on my life. I'm reminded I'm the first generation to break the cycle. I'm told all the time by my mom, you can do it. He's a good man. You're supposed to help other wives. There's no reason that you got married. It didn't happen by accident that you got married at 16. Coming from my generation and the generation that came before me, and there not be a call on your life to make this easier for other women. And I appreciate my mom, my mommy, so much for always speaking that life and encouragement into me. So you're supposed to help other wives. You shouldn't give up. So, ironically, I went to work at an elementary school to get away from my husband. I wasn't giving up on my marriage, but I was giving up on the amount of time we were spending together. We were working together. We operate a business together, and I needed to get away. So I went to work in an elementary school. And the elementary school was a part of my journey that is going to bring me to the opportunity that I'm going to share with you guys at the end of this. And here's the call, right? So I'm in the elementary school and I have this idea. I'm sitting in a kindergarten classroom one day and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, these kids remind me of my marriage. Kindergarten is just like marriage." And then the next day I'm in a fifth grade classroom with all that drama and I'm like, "Oh, marriage is just like fifth grade too." And I go home so excited about this calling and this inspiration and what I can do with this idea that there's this whole framework that can be built out to help other wives based on the maturity levels of school, kindergarten through college. And so I write these notes and I forget about it for a few years. The villain. after you have a call, after God shows you what you're supposed to be doing, and you take the time to write it down, the villain is going to show up. And the villain was a lot of things in my life. I thought the villain was my husband. I thought the villain were all these teachers who were telling me that I was number two. They weren't teaching me marriage right, and that must be why it's so complicated. And the villain was the broken vehicle, which is a part of that broken mindset, right? What if I don't figure it out? I go back to marriage hell, or I stay in this hell of insecurity and not knowing what's going to happen. We're up one day and then we're down the next, and I'm done with that. I'm so tired of that. I don't want any more up and down. And what if I don't figure it out? The other option is my heart breaks, meaning we separate or we get a divorce, right? We just can't figure it out and we're done, like half the people in this country end up doing. And then the new opportunity. I'm reminded of the notes that I took, and this is 5 to 6 years from the point that the idea came to me when I was taking a break from my husband at work and I was going to the elementary school. And the book got written, it got published, it's manifested here. This is the cover that I designed myself. It's called Growing into a Mature Marriage from Kindergarten to College. At the time, I didn't even have the knowledge of frameworks and how movements and businesses use frameworks to make something really complicated and then give it to another person and say, here, this will solve your problem, this will change your life. And God has since taken it from this to something even more just profound, which we're going to get to. So this is me walking up the steps and getting to this place of, okay, I'm starting to see and smell the cake. And I believe I'm going to get to eat it. All right. So this is where everything starts to shift. My car gets fixed with those tools I picked up along the path, and now I'm in my dream car, right? My dream marriage. I wake up every day excited about who I'm waking up next to. I go to bed every night excited about who I'm going to bed next to. The feelings and the emotions and that new love feeling that was there in the beginning comes back, and I'm going to share with you guys how you can do that for your marriage too. So now I have wifey thinking. I'm no longer single woman, independent woman thinking. I've opened the box. And since I've opened the box, the light can shine in. And now I can see everything that's in the box with me. It's the book that God had in my heart, probably since before the foundations of the earth. It's Delise Collins' art because I'm an artist, and that turned into the art of marriage and hubby hackers. So wifey thinking, you open the box and you realize there's other ways to deal with what you're dealing with. I want to say deal with your husband, but that sounds a little there's other ways to deal with your husband that bring the results that you actually want and bring healing to your marriage and truly create the bond that you want, where you're not afraid of when's the next down going to be, when's the next fight, when's the next argument, where that's no longer the reality you're in. You're just like, oh, cake, like I'm eating this cake and I'm not getting fat. It's good. It's the best kind of cake, right? So wannabe wifey thinking versus wifey thinking. We've already really talked about this slide, so I'm going to go past that. So the wall I was hitting was, I thought I was in an open box, but I was in a closed box, and I needed to get through this wall to the open box. And the wall I kept hitting was, it was physically impossible for my marriage to grow into what I wanted to get out of it, because I was stuck in the ignorance of who I was versus who I needed to become. It was physically impossible for my marriage to grow into what I wanted to get out of it because I was stuck in the ignorance of who I was versus who I needed to become. So a lot of times I talk to wives and they're complaining about their husband, and the list of complaints is so long. And the code that I have for them is, you are married to the person you deserve to be married to. Does that mean that it's a different person that you're going to end up being married to? Hopefully not, not in most cases. It means you need to become the person that he would want to be married to. And you're expecting him to become the person that you would want to be married to. And that seems so simple, but we make it really complicated. And it actually is simple. And I have the codes to teach women how simple it can be. Next slide. Come on, computer. Okay, so I was going to counseling. This was probably 10 to 15 years ago, trying to break down this wall. And I have my hammer, and the wall is not really budging in the way that I wanted to. I'm also taking offense away because the counseling was giving me that number two message that I didn't like. There's the number two. I'm reading the books that the counseling suggested, and I'm getting a lot of good principles that I'm now able to incorporate into the codes that I'm going to use, that I've perfected these principles. God's principle can't be perfected. It's perfect, right? But man takes it and they put their own spin on it, and then it adds a burden to it. So I have pulled the burden out and simplified it. And so that when people open up my books, or they join Hubby Hackers and read my codes, or they get in these videos and listen to me talk, there's no more question marks. There's just aha moments. Okay. So my first epiphany bridge was a rickety plank with no guardrails. It was arguments all the time. It was miscommunication. It was constant pain. There was yelling, there was fighting, and there was struggling. On the other side of this plank, after I wrote my book and during the time of me writing my book, I'm applying these codes to myself. I'm applying the concept of kindergarten through college and the different maturity levels. And now we're having discussions instead of arguments. And it's funny because I always blame my husband for the reason they were arguments instead of discussions, because he's the one that was yelling. But there was code for me to implement for him to stop yelling, because wives have so much more power than they know. And I'm so excited. Okay. So, from miscommunication to clear communication and understanding, from pain to pleasure and healing, from yelling to calm, respectful, loving talking, like all the time, like zero yelling, fighting and struggling to best friends thriving. And up in the corner is this stronger bridge, this suspension bridge that I'm building on this journey. I gotta get some water, sorry. My broken thinking. Some people think that having a peaceful marriage is not possible. They believe it is something we can't really expect or achieve. We have learned things about marriage in our childhood and in our adult experiences that are not true. And those lies are stopping us from getting to where we want to be. Wow. I'm just marinating on that. I wrote it and it just hit me different. Those lies are stopping us from getting where we want to be. So, broken thinking. Here's the lie: marriage is hard. Here's the truth: immature people are hard. Hard to deal with because their hearts are hardened to the actual truth, while they go around spreading lies and misleading wives into accepting that life is hard and marriage is supposed to be difficult. That thinking is the broken vehicle, and you won't get where you want to go with that. I believe that they teach us this about marriage, and they teach us in this manner because they haven't figured out the secrets I am about to share with you. If the pastor, for example, argues with his wife on the way to church that morning, how do we think that influences the way he is going to teach us about marriage? And then the first lady gets up and teaches or has a women's conference, and because she's married to a pastor and lonely because her husband is so busy in his ministry job and doesn't give her the attention she craves and deserves, and their entire schedule is based around his calling, what type of wife life thinking do you think she is going to perpetuate and teach to her sheep? What do you think? What do you think she's going to say? Type it in the chat. I'm pulling this chat up real quick. You guys are like, I don't know what she's going to say. Tell us, Delise. What's she going to say? She can say your number two. But she's innocent. I want everybody to say she's innocent. We're not mad at her. We're not mad at him. We're not mad at them. They are all innocent. And this is the scripture confusion. This has been my revelation. These are almost all the scriptures you could find in the Bible that mention marriage, mention a wife and her job. And none of them say she's number two. They say respect and honor your husband. They say your husband is a king. They say your husband is the leader of the household. But it doesn't say that the wife is less than and less important. Okay, you guys, are you guys with me? What she, who is now me, says, now that I've crossed this epiphany bridge, is you can be honoring, respectful, submissive wife and still be a successful blank, whatever. Your husband is number one, but that doesn't mean you're number two. A piece of emoji poop. A biblical wife can also be a leader, an inventor, a real estate developer, a boss. And I know that I'm talking to a bunch of bosses on here. Next slide. And this is what I felt like. A really cute piece of emoji poop with sparkling eyes and a mouth. So this is the book that manifested from all of that, what I had gone through and how I wanted to teach it differently. And the plank of me walking from one side to the next in my marriage and the maze that I felt stuck in. I would get a principal or a teaching, get really excited, and then hit a wall like I was in a maze, like a mouse being experimented on. And it was so frustrating. And I just kept crying out to God, why me? Why me? And then after I wrote the book, now I have this bridge that's a little more fortified, it's more sturdy. And that bridge, that epiphany bridge for me is marriage is a school system. And that was a huge epiphany, and it did take our marriage to another level. And then from there, as the artist that I am, I realized marriage is an art, and I started Delise Collins Art, and I'm actually creating real art. And I have art in an art gallery, and the Lord is showing me that this applies to marriage. And that's Delise Collins Art presents the art of marriage, which is what I'm here to present the opportunity to you all through, is to become a part of Hubby Hackers in the art of marriage. Then the next level is this more fortified bridge. And this is what I'm excited to share. This is why I'm having this meeting, is that marriage is a game. Oh my gosh. This is so profound because the principle of when you take things lightly, when you look at it as if it's just a game, you become a different person and you handle yourself differently. So then everything becomes lighter and less stressful. And games have programming cheat codes. You guys know where I'm going with this. Marriage is an art, plus marriage is a game. The art of marriage and Hubby Hackers equals creativity and fun instead of dreaded marital hell. Marriage is a game. For any game to actually be engaging and fun, it needs to have what? It needs to have rules. And a game with no rules is no fun. All right, next slide. So now we're to the really exciting part. Hubby Hacker, marriage code, result. So just a little background, if you don't know what coding is what is necessary to have computer communication, text messaging, technology is all happens through code. And it's the dependability of knowing that I can hit the H key and an H pops up on the screen. And am I saying your marriage can be that simple? Yes, I am. I'm going to show you how. The Hubby Hacker codes aren't just theoretical, they're actionable tools you can use every day to influence your marriage for the better. Whether you are working to rebuild trust, deepen your connection, or simply create a more joyful partnership, these codes provide a step-by-step guide to achieving lasting results. By implementing the Hubby Hacker codes, you will reprogram your relationship to function at its highest potential, just as a well-optimized computer operates smoothly and efficiently. Are you ready to embrace the role of a hubby hacker and create the marriage of your dreams? Let's get started. Hubby hacker codes. So these are the 4 foundational codes. And I know I told you guys it was going to be 30 minutes. It's not going to be much longer before I wrap it up. So these are the hubby hacker codes. Respect codes, communication codes, intimacy codes, and growth codes. If you want to take a picture of the screen with your phone, these are going to be the foundational codes that every code is going to fall inside of. And codes come in progressive revelation, so that code list may be building until we die. And I have about 12 codes finished right now that are really good that fall into these categories. I'm going to share a code with you just so I can give you an example so you guys can understand why I'm so excited. So here's a Hubby Hacker code. Past perceived lack determines present perceived value. And what does that mean? I'm about to explain. So here's an example of computer coding. So I have past minus, right? Because perceived lack in your past, and then present plus value. The plus represents the value. So this is what that statement means. What was once missing becomes magnified in importance. The areas where love, attention, or support were absent in the past shape how deeply these needs are valued and sought after today. Understanding this code, you guys, understanding this connection allows both partners to reframe their actions and their priorities in marriage. Let me give you an example if you're still not following me. As a child, you only had two outfits. And so you had a perceived lack that you don't have enough clothes to wear. And then you grow up and you have an excessively abundant amount of clothes, and your partner might not be understanding. They might really think you have a serious problem. But if they know this code, oh my gosh, if you both know this code, the way you'll be able to help each other and support each other and not argue about it will just, oh my gosh, it'll blow your mind because now you know there was a past perceived lack that is determined why having all of these clothes right now is so important, and why it's healing and what it's attached to, and that can allow you to heal it so that if it is an imbalance in your life, it can become a balance. This code right here changed, it revolutionized my marriage. Next slide. What you believe has a direct impact on how you will perform. What you believe has a direct impact on how you will perform. If you believe in Hubby Hacker codes, if you believe in the art of marriage, you will start acting like a master artist and a skilled coding whiz, a coding genius, and you will control every reaction and every action, every attitude, every word you speak every day, knowing that it's turning you into the person you need to become to have the marriage you want to have. Okay? Screen capture that. Pretty much, that is a really nice diplomatic way of saying if your marriage sucks, it's because you suck. There's that number two, being mean as a teacher, right? You're only dealing with what you're dealing with in your spouse because that's the level you are at. Otherwise, you never would have attracted each other. Okay, that should give you peace in knowing the headache you're dealing with in your spouse has a lot to do with who you are as well. They are just a mirror, and that works both ways. And if your spouse doesn't want to get into therapy, if they don't want to get into counseling, this is perfect. And this is why I've designed this for wives, because it doesn't take both of you. It only takes one of you to learn the codes to bring your marriage to another level. Enroll in Hubby Hacker University. Learn the secret to changing your husband without manipulation or mind games. Avoid divorce. Turn your husband into your fantasy superhero. Unlike marriage counseling, you don't need him to learn these secrets with you for Hubby Hacker Code training to work for you, and the hidden powers that a wife has and how to use them. And if you guys want to stay to the end, I will share with you a really funny story about those hidden powers. How to enroll in Hubby Hacker University. The Art of Marriage in the school app, spelled SKOOL. Request to join the group, click on the classroom tab, and then go to the Peaceful Marriage Blueprint. That is where the Hubby Hacker Code, the week by week, it's a 4-week course. You will be led, you can go at your own pace, but you will be led through by some engaging text. And I will be adding videos and more support to that as we go. But go there now and sign up. It is life-changing, especially if you are in a painful situation right now. Why to enroll? Get in while the price is a small fraction of what it will be later. Be on the ground level so you can become a testament of the power of the codes and help other wives if that's something you would like to do in the future. This framework is revolutionary, taking something perceived as difficult and making it fun. This is why. You guys see this really sexy man right here? So you want to be married to your superhero hubby. Learning Hubby Hacker codes creates that. The things you saw in him, the attraction, the sexiness, the intimacy in the beginning will return when you implement these codes. A hubby you're forever attracted to, and feelings of a new relationship forever. And why do I say that? Because every time you use a code correctly, you get a renewed level in your marriage, and your marriage stays feeling fresh and new and exciting. Now, this system is $8,000. This system is going to come with renowned coaching. It's going to come with more videos like this, both live and pre-recorded. It's going to come with lessons that guide you week by week. Right now, it's a 4-week course. It will eventually become a 6 to 8-week course. And before that scares you, see this dude right here? If you could pay that to see your husband that way when you go to sleep and when you wake up, would it be worth $8,000? Well, guess what? I'm not charging you $8,000. You guys are in the ground floor. You guys are my first students. And This is why I'm only charging you $9.97. You're going to become the testimonies that bring in the people once this course has gone from a 4-week course to a 6 to 8 week course that will be paying this other price point. Yes. So this is all of the levels and the layers of what I have gone through to get to where I am now. And those of you on here that know me personally, over in this right-hand corner, the soapbox, that is a representation of everything that I am doing right now. That soap company was not about the soap. It was about the messages to help people start to think and live and act differently, because my heart has always been to change the world, as corny as that might sound, but I'm going to do it one wifey, one marriage at a time. And if you're still here and I have your permission to keep talking, I'll share with you my funny bonus story about hacking my husband. I'm going to open these chats. Welcome, Hubby Hackers. This is me saying welcome into this ground moving, earth shaking movement that is going to change our lives. Marriage is hard. Yes, so good. Brokenhearted, so dope. Yes, I love that you guys are feeling what I'm saying. Okay, so my story, and then I'm going to in the chat, unless you guys want to come in and talk for like 5 or 10 minutes. Bonus story. The other night I'm down here, I'm working on Hubby Hackers, I'm building out code, I'm working on lessons, and my husband comes down and he's like, "Do you want to go to dinner?" And I'm like, "Sure." So I'm thinking it's just gonna be him and I. So we pull up and I see one of his guy friends pulling in the parking lot. And I had mentioned on the way to the restaurant that it's not, I don't think the food is that great. And he's like, "Okay, well, where would you like to go?" And I was like, "Oh, cool. No, we'll go where you want to go. I won't be difficult. I want to be agreeable, right?" I'm using my code. So we go into the restaurant and it's not just the one guy friend, it is a guy meet. Like it's all guys. I am the only girl, I'm the only wife, the only woman there. And we have such a good time and we laugh and we leave and we're still laughing about just how I engaged with all the guys at the table and how funny it was, how just cool the whole experience was. And a lot of husbands aren't comfortable inviting their wives into like their man meetings. Like wives aren't getting invited to the cigar bar or, whatever it is your husband does, maybe the golf course. So then we leave that situation, and a couple nights later we go out to eat again. We're empty nesters, so we eat out a lot. And I think I was talking about that night, how he brought me out on a guy's night and how it was awkward for me, but then I just decided, to have fun with it. And we're walking hand in hand going to this restaurant, and I can't remember exactly what I said, but I know I was thinking it. And I look up at my husband and he goes, "I've been hacked." And I should turn my video back on now. So he says, "I've been hacked," and I was like, "Yes, I did this. I made this is working in my life. This is working for me. All your guys' videos are turned off. Turn your faces on." I want to hear some feedback on what you guys thought about Hubby Hackers. I hope you guys are excited as I am about how revolutionary this movement is and can be and where it can go. We're 43 minutes in now. I want to respect your time. So if you are wanting to log out, go ahead and log out. If you want to stay and chat, open up your mic and say something. Hi, mommy.
This was awesome.
Good.
So
I'm happy you think so.
you had me laughing with big joy. This was awesome. So proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. When revelations come like this, to take something that is a problem for everyone and really simplify it and use universal principle, and then God gives you your own system, it's undescribable. My heart is beating so fast.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I understand your assignment and I see your vision. And I thank you for including me and sharing your story. It's helped me in my marriage and grow. And I look forward to getting more of your knowledge and understanding because I know the gift that God gave you really is to do everything that you said that I told you were supposed to do, but it was a seed that was planted in you before you were even,
Yes.
it's
Yes.
all coming into fruition and it's a blessing to be part of it. And I appreciate you inviting me and including me. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm so grateful that you came. I'm gonna open the floor to men. I'm not sure in the future if we're gonna let men speak at all in our group, but I Jaden, Papa Les is in here. If you guys wanted to say something, I know Les is at the cigar bar, so that's the perfect place. Um, Mom, Haley. If you struggle with technology, you can always email me at maturemarriage@gmail if you need help with getting into the Art of Marriage School and finding the class. The class is called The Peaceful Marriage Blueprint. And I'm gonna open the chat and see what you guys are saying. Mom says, yes, yes. I need my hubby hacker gear ASAP. Yes, I'm having some hats made and we'll be having more t-shirts made. I'll probably do pre-orders to get started and then you can order your gear, Haley. So I'm going to say thank you all so much for being here. I love you so much. Please spread the word about the Art of Marriage and Hubby Hackers. Share them the links. Share my Facebook with them because this is here to change women's lives. And I'm excited to be the vessel to help do that. I love you guys and have a good night and stay tuned for when we'll have our next meeting.